Good evening, everyone. I am back with my next part of the Victorian women novelists. Means Victorian novelists actually, who dealt with various problems of the society, various social problems, class, gender, poverty, hunger, industrialization, utilitarianism. And what does utilitarianism means? In the last lecture I mentioned that it is means if we do something which we consider morally, it is means morally good or morally bad, then we have explanations for those things, that why we are doing so, right? That if we are doing something which we feel it is something nice for the society, for the others, from the perspective of means from the moral perspective, and if we find what we are doing it right, then there is an explanation for this thing. And also if we are doing something wrong, then also we find an explanation for why we are doing that wrong actually. So this is utilitarianism. I will be dealing with it in detail in some later video perhaps, but the main themes of Victorian social problem novels, right? Race, gender, class and caste prejudice, child labor, exploitation of women, industrialization, poverty, hunger, starvation, and various political and social uprisings. So various things actually are dealt with in detail in the novels by various Victorian novelists. We saw Charles Dickens, the Victorian novelists Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy, then the women novelists like George Eliot, and now I will be dealing with the Bronte sisters in great detail. So who are they? Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte, and Anne Bronte. So perhaps the most important among them, because she has written one novel which makes her quite unique, means which makes her like she stands apart from the other sisters in this respect with her novel Wuthering Heights. Yes, it's Emily Bronte. Wuthering Heights is a cult classic in the realm of Victorian novels. A classic love story, you might say. Here, Heathcliff, the hero, who is also the protagonist, he is actually, what should I say? The tendency to ascribe heroic attributes to someone who has villainous qualities. Yes, and he turned into a villain due to the changing circumstances. The miseries befalling him in his childhood actually made him into a villain, and as we see in the movies, so just like that. So this novel has a cinematic plot. He desired Catherine, the heroine, could not get married to her, as Catherine married Catherine married Edgar Linton, a member of the aristocratic society, at a time when Heathcliff had nothing. He was a nobody actually. And then Heathcliff married Isabella. And what happened actually? In order to take revenge upon Catherine, Heathcliff started his anti-heroic activities. And William M.Thackeray commented on this novel. The story is set in hell. Only the names of persons and places are English. Right. So can you understand what kind of a love story Wuthering Heights is? Means a novel, an intriguing novel. And it's something, means personally, among all the Victorian novels, after Great Expectations, my personal favorite is Wuthering Heights. And as I said, Heathcliff's social status is confused and unemployed at the beginning of the novel. Gradually, he rises to prominence and returns to take revenge upon Catherine. And Thrushcross Grange and Wuthering Heights are the two mansions mentioned in this novel, and Mr. Lockwood and Nellie Dean are the narrators in Wuthering Heights. Okay. So after Emily Bronte, we come to Anne Bronte. She wrote Agnes Grey, the novel Agnes Grey, and The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, another novel by Anne Bronte, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, which deals with domestic violence and one of the first novels dealing with marital rape. Then comes Charlotte Bronte. She has written one novel, Charlotte. Means the spelling, if you notice the spelling of her name, Charlotte. Charlotte, it's pronounced as Charlotte, and she has written a novel which is also of the name Charlotte, but this time the spelling is Shirley. So this is one of the novels by Charlotte Bronte, which is Charlotte. Then there is Fillet. Then Professor, another novel by Charlotte Bronte. So Professor is another novel by her, and it is considered somewhat autobiographical in nature. And then comes Jane Eyre. Now Jane Eyre, the novel is very important. Jane Eyre's childhood is set at Gateshead Hall, and she had a miserable childhood because she was emotionally and physically abused by her aunt, Mrs. Sarah Reed, and also her cousins. Even not only her aunt, Mrs. Sarah Reed, also her cousins tortured her physically and mentally, and also emotionally when she was a child. And gradually Jane Eyre uplifted herself. She studied in Lowood School under Mr. Brocklehurst. And then Helen Burns is a good friend of Jane, who also, now Helen Burns acts as a foil to Jane, and she is close to the protagonist Jane, but exactly opposite in nature. But Jane Eyre is another symbol of women empowerment. Jane Eyre becomes the second wife of Edward Rochester. After his first wife, the first wife of Edward Rochester, Bertha Mason, she dies, and then Jane marries Edward Rochester and becomes the governor of Thornfield Hall. And the final sentence of this novel, "Reader, I married him," is spoken by Jane Eyre, means, see, from being abused emotionally and physically in her childhood to uplifting herself to the status of a wealthy woman in the society, a prestigious position in the society, Jane Eyre has come a long way. So if this is not women empowerment, if this is not the championship of feminism, the glory of feminism, then what is it then? This is actually the novelist has tried to demonstrate that women are no less than men in terms of status, in terms of intellect, in terms of abilities, in terms of intellectual as well as physical abilities, and even they can rise to the status of a man through their activities. And Jane Eyre means she shows her independent self, her empowered self, and uplifts herself to the status of a wealthy woman in society, an aristocratic woman in the society. And so this is a novel which champions feminism, and you should read the novel Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte in great detail. And another fact which is important from the perspective of the NET exam, that is White Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. It is a novel, White Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. It is a novel by Jean Rhys which is a modern retelling of Jane Eyre, right? A modern version of Jane Eyre is this novel, White Sargasso Sea, which is also studied from the post-colonial perspective. You may have a look at this novel also. So, okay, that's all for the Victorian women novelists. And there are certain other novelists in the Victorian age. Means there is William M.Thackeray, who has written Vanity Fair. The title of Vanity Fair has been derived from Pilgrim's Progress. And the Rebecca Sharp, Amelia Sedley are the characters in this novel. And Rebecca has another, means two women, obviously. Rebecca has been compared to a monster and Amelia has been compared to an angel, and they are constructed by the novelist in this novel Vanity Fair. The last line of Vanity Fair is Vanitas Vanitatem ? Which is translated into English as who is happy at the end. Therefore, this novel also deals with the choices of human life and how they determine the course of our lives actually. Vanity Fair is very important from the perspective of UGC NET exam, and you should read this novel in detail. Here also means the women characters and their empowerment is shown once again, and how they transcend the boundaries of the society, set the limits set by the society, and rise to the planes of higher existence. So this William M.Thackerays novel Vanity Fair deals with this. And there is History of Henry Esmond, another novel by William M.Thackeray. Then there is The Newcomes, the third novel by this particular author. And there are certain factory novels which deal with the condition of England, the social problems, the problems of industrialization, the side effects of industrialization actually. So these factory novels, Mrs. Elizabeth Gaskell has written some of those novels, like Mary Barton. Then North and South, another novel by Mrs. Gaskell. The Controversial Life of Charlotte Bronte this is another piece of work by Mrs. Elizabeth Gaskell, but important among them is obviously Mary Barton, and which is subtitled as Tale of Manchester Life, and which satirizes Chartist trade union. Now this is important because Chartism is a political phenomena in the Victorian age. In this novel, Mary Barton by Mrs. Gaskell satirizes the activities of the Chartist trade union. And North and South is another important novel by Mrs. Gaskell, which also satirizes the phenomena of industrialism, the process of industrialization and its side effects in the Victorian age. Okay, that's all for today. I hope by now you have received a fair enough idea of the Victorian social problem novels, how the social problems are, the condition of England has been portrayed in all these novels by Dickens, Hardy, George Eliot, the Bronte sisters, William M.Thackeray, then Mrs. Elizabeth Gaskell, by all these renowned authors actually. So that's all for today. We'll meet very soon in some new topic. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.